Hello there. Yes, we're going to talk about Doctor Who. It's just been under a week since the BBC and Matt Smith announced that he would be stepping down as the Doctor at the end of this year's Christmas special. So, we've had a lot of nonsense in the media, in the papers, talking about people who will never get the job, wanting a job and nonsense like that. The issues are this. Obviously the media, as usual, don't take Doctor Who seriously, but we do, so let's talk. They're talking about a possibility of a woman actress being a doctor. Being the Doctor, not a doctor, not Dr. Kildare, the Doctor. Or the possibility of a black actor becoming the Doctor. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm not uncomfortable about those things, but I'm not against them either. But my point is why they won't happen is because any series showrunner, as Stephen Moffat, if he's going to be the season 8 showrunner, that's kind of undetermined for me at the moment, but let's just say it's Stephen. No one in their right mind or a television network like the BBC are going to sit there and do something that will hurt the character's popularity, that will hurt ratings. Doctor Who is in a very important time in its existence since 2005. For 5 years, during Russell T Davies' tenure, Doctor Who was bulletproof. Yes, there's always going to be detractors. Not everybody loved Russell's take on it, but I would say about 80 to 90% of people love Doctor Who. The ratings are up there. Russell T Davies and his team and David Tennant and Christopher Eccleston to a point were drowning in television awards. Now, since Stephen Moffat's taken over and Matt Smith's been the Doctor, it hasn't been the same thing. It's been very uncomfortable for Stephen because he burnt down everything that Russell did, rightly or wrongly. I think that was wrong, but I'm not here to talk about that today. So it's at a point now when it needs a ratings boost. Now the ratings aren't desperate by any means, but they've fallen considerably. When you think about Russell T Davies, who used to get 7 or 8 million per episode, maybe slightly under 8 million on an episode that didn't do so well, but always good ratings. His last episode, which was The End of Time, and I'm not talking about iPlayer figures here, I'm talking about raw ratings. The End of Time got 14.5 million viewers. That's massive. Now you think about the fall. Now, obviously, I understand that Russell's episodes, 40 minutes episodes, never got that, but that was his last episode. But they used to average from 8 to 10 million. You're talking about 5 million, nearly one episode in season 7B, the second part of season 7, got just under 5 million. So it's not good. So I'm talking about the UK, because I'm in the UK and I know what's going on in the UK. The popularity has gone down. So I'm not necessarily convinced that Matt Smith stepping down as the Doctor was a Matt Smith decision. It could have been a BBC decision because they've looked at the ratings. Now, if that's the case, you would think they would wave goodbye to Stephen Moffat. I don't know if that's the case at the moment. We don't know. Looking like Stephen will be the showrunner for season 8. We'll have to wait and see. But if I was the BBC and if I was a showrunner of this series, that's really important to my company. You've got this debate, you see, where it should be an unknown or a famous actor, or a name, should I say. We've always had this debate with Superman. We've always thought, since Richard Donner's movie, it should be an unknown because then people see that character as Superman and not a big name. Do you know what I mean? Now, Christopher Eccleston, who took the part in 2005, actually volunteered to take the part in 2005, was a name. Now, the reason they were up for that is because, obviously, it was a relaunch. They needed as much attention on it as possible. So it worked for them. But it wasn't just a case of Christopher Eccleston. What Russell T Davies did was fantastic and genius, and people loved it. Now, I believe that Doctor Who is in a stage where it needs the uplift. It needs a name. Now, reasons why the BBC and the showrunner for season 8 wouldn't choose a name. Because a name would want to have a hand in guiding the show and have their ideas noted and maybe taken at times. And maybe the BBC wouldn't want that. but they are in a situation where a name would really help them out. Now, I'm not talking about Hollywood. I think we should always stick to British actors. I mean, I could be wrong there, because when you look at Henry Cavill playing Superman, and it's acting at the moment, at the end of the day, it's make-believe, so it shouldn't really be an issue. But I think we are in a stage where a name, a famous name, would work. It doesn't necessarily have to be a big name, but someone that's known and someone that's respected. Nobody knew who David Tennant was before he became the Doctor, and nobody certainly knew who Matt Smith was. They've both done little dramas, but nobody actually knew who they were. But I believe at this stage of the game, we definitely need a name. Now, we also have this crux of Steven Moffat's fans who say Doctor Who is always about change. It's an ever-changing universe. As I've always said, and I always said on these Doctor Who videos, the Doctor's obviously always changed actor, but it doesn't mean you have to change everything. Steven Moffat dramatically changed the show. It wasn't broken, it didn't need fixing, its popularity under Russell T Davies was immense. What you do by doing that, by changing pretty much everything, you get yourself under pressure, because not everyone's going to embrace your changes. The fans of the classics, or... Now, in my opinion, Russell T Davies actually was more respectful of the classic series than Steven Moffat is. Now, Steven Moffat is as much a Doctor Who fan as Russell T Davies is, but he's a man who looks like he wants people to remember what he's done on the show, and for people not to remember what other people have done on the show. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but it's just the way it seems. So we are in an important stage of Doctor Who where it does sell a lot of Blu-rays, it does sell a lot of DVDs, it does sell a lot of merchandising, which is great. People say the ratings don't matter. The ratings do matter. The show's perception matters. And at the moment, the perception of Doctor Who is of a character that people still love, but a lot of people, especially the fandom, are thinking this is broken. This needs fixing. Now, getting a name doesn't fix anything, because it's all about the writing and what you do behind the scenes at the end of the day. But a name, an actor that's going to make the character more dramatic again, like Christopher Eccleston did, like David Tennant did, who brings a bit of seriousness to the role. We need to get it back to basics, and I just believe a well name is the way to go. Now, by naming John Hurt as the Doctor, this so-called 9th Doctor, in this big epic 50th anniversary episode, which could be 90 minutes long and in 3D, I think he maybe is hinting to us that maybe his new Doctor will be a name. Now, what about David Tennant? What about David Tennant coming back as the Doctor? People say it shouldn't happen, that it's impossible, the Doctor can't go back to a previous incarnation. This Doctor can. There's a human clone, half Time Lord, half human, Metacrisis Doctor on an alternate universe with Rose. If he was to come back, this is sci-fi at the end of the day, and be there when the 11th Doctor regenerates, maybe they could merge and maybe David Tennant could be the Doctor again. That's a possibility. It's more than possible. Would the BBC do it? I think, with things the way they are, David Tennant would be perfect to be the Doctor again. Would David want to do it? I don't know. I know he loves the show. I know he always tries to be respectful of the fans. I don't think we're exactly loved by the people who make the show, because a lot of us are rude and unrespectful at times, and people who work hard on the show don't like that, and I can't say I blame them. I think we need to look at our attitudes as well. But David Tennant at 31, was it 33 to 1 or something like that, is great odds. I've put a bet on him. I believe it's a possibility. I would love him to do it. I'm not going to lie that I'm a fan of the Russell T Davies era, that I thought David's Doctor and Christopher Eccleston's Doctor were amazing and brought seriousness and respect to this show. Obviously, Ben Daniels has been linked. He's a really good actor. He's been in Law and Order. He's a brilliant British actor. I would absolutely welcome him doing it as well. So, at the moment, the BBC... Now, we're being told that the process of casting the new Doctor is done now. I don't believe that, boys and girls. I believe we're being told after the horse is bolted, because they're not going to tell us, because it's such a, because of the passion that we all have for this show, we all try and get involved with the process. They're not going to release it when they're doing it, because there's too many ways of people finding out. Even the people who work for them can't be trusted, and I'm talking about maybe like the little people. No disrespect to those people that I'm referring to, but they do go to newspapers. Things are leaked by the show and by the BBC on purpose sometimes to keep part of the PR. I believe Matt Smith would have told the BBC and Stephen Moffat at the beginning, even before they touched season 7, I want the 7th year to be my final one. Moffat and the BBC would have said, all right then. They would have started recruiting. So I believe the new Doctor was recruited ages ago. Rumours are, I think in the Radio Times they were saying that next month will be the announcement. I think we'll get the announcement very shortly. That's how confident I am that it's already been done and dusted, and we will find out who the Doctor is very soon. Who it is, I don't know. I have got my ear to the ground. I am hearing certain noises, but I'm not going to start blowing out names because I don't want egg on my face, obviously. I would say it's going to be an older one. That's not rocket science, because this guy's Matt Smith was quite young. I think he'll be considerably older. I think we're looking at 35 to 40. I don't think that's too old. I don't think that's, I think that's in between. Eccleston was 40. He didn't look, he could run, he was physical. He used to even punch a couple of his enemies now and again, which we haven't seen since, because the Doctor's not meant to be a violent character. That's why Russell created Captain Jack, so he could do all the kind of fighting and shooting and stuff. When I know something, you will know something. I guarantee you of that. So keep alert on my channel, and I will be back as soon as I know something. Keep following. You never know what's going to happen. I'm Mick Meanus on Facebook. I'm Geektastic555 on Twitter. Keep checking me out. You never know when news of the 12th Doctor will actually happen. So keep your ears and eyes peeled. We will speak soon.